Group Finder, Party Finder, Dungeon Maker, all terms for the same utility, and they all suck. Good day, friends. Dinar here, and today I'm going to give you my reasons why I believe group finders ruin MMOs and social interactions. The group finder is a staple of the modern MMORPG, designed to take the frustration and time sink of finding a group away from the player and providing an expedient alternative to completing a dungeon. If you have been around long enough in the MMO genre, then you can remember trying to find a group to complete a dungeon. Messaging in chat channels, sending tells, asking in guild chat, begging friends. What a hassle, right? When dungeon finders were introduced, it seemed to be the cure for all that ailed us. No more endlessly spamming for group. Just open a window, click a button, and wait for your turn in the queue. Who would have guessed at the time that it was possibly the beginning of the end of the golden days of MMOs? Just what am I talking about? Dungeon finders ruin social aspects of the game. When was the last time you saw anyone talk in a dungeon run? Sure, you're there to complete a task, but how odd is it for a group of people to not say one word to each other as they slaughter a dungeon full of monsters for 30 minutes? You don't do that when you're in a guild group and voice chat, so why do we do it in a dungeon finder group? Because we've been conditioned to do so for a few reasons. For one thing, depending on the game you're playing, you may possibly never see these people again, so why bother to interact with them? In most dungeon finder groups, the tank has learned to pull as soon as they load into the zone, which leaves the rest of the group frantically trying to keep up. Tanks have been conditioned to do this, from DPS and patiently pulling to the idea that clearing a zone in a quarter of the time is how everyone does it. In games like World of Warcraft, your chances of grouping with the same person on the same character more than once are pretty slim. This has led to horrid behavior, as I'm sure anyone can agree to have seen, because there is little to no accountability. Dungeon finders remove personal reputation. In the past, before looking for group tools, you needed to be personable as well as competent to be invited back to groups. No one wanted a toolbox in their group that ran ahead of the tank, pulling aggro and telling everyone they sucked. A person who did that became known on the server, and before long that rep kept them from being invited. That's not to say those things didn't happen, because they did, just not in the same frequency they happen today. Dungeon finders limit your chances of making friends to group with. This point is somewhat debatable. However, networking was a thing in the past. You made friends or acquaintances, added them to your friends list, and contacted them when you were making a group. Dungeon finders promote asinine behavior. As mentioned before, with so many people playing so many different characters, your chances of meeting the same person twice are extremely low. This promotes an environment in which trolls thrive. Any manner of things can and will happen. The concept of the dungeon finder is solid. The problem is the human factor. Sadly, there are always those people who look to take advantage of a situation for their own perverse enjoyment. While there are some tools in place in some dungeon finders to help combat these disruptive individuals, they are for the most part not very helpful. Vote kicks are an example of this. Put in place for a group to have means to remove an abusive player, to require a majority vote from the group to successfully remove someone. This can be manipulated, however, even used as a method of trolling in itself. So, what am I driving at, and what can be done about it? You can't put the rabbit back in the hat. If a game has a dungeon finder, then people will use it and abuse it. Obvious alternatives are to make your own group via friends and guildmates. Most people, I believe, would agree that guild or friend groups are the more enjoyable and successful route. Which is my point, really. The old way is still more successful and enjoyable. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There is a game out on the horizon that intends to release without a dungeon finder. Pantheon: Rise of the Fallen, heralding us back to the older days and older ways of MMOs, something I very much am looking forward to. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked this video, do me a favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons. See you next time.